transition been from going to online learning? I imagine that some teachers handle it better and some students handle it better.
I'm really proud of the way that everyone just stepped forward and tried to make the best of this situation. I think it was, early morning, midday on Friday, March 13th is when we decided we were going to close our schools for at least 2 weeks at that time, because we were getting either mixed messages or no clear direction from the state with regard to what individual districts should be doing. And so we had made the decision we were going to close for 2 weeks, and we didn't have a lot of time to really work with staff to prepare before they all left that afternoon. So we took that first week to really reach out to our staff, to check on them, to allow them some access to the buildings, to be able to come back and get materials they may need, to reconnect with their students and engage in learning again. We provided them with some professional development with regard to some of the different online technologies we were going to be using. Chelmsford is a Google district, so we use a lot of Google Classroom and different Google tools. But teachers, a lot of them use them in their regular teaching and some don't. So we wanted to make sure we were mindful of that and really support people during that first week so that they felt comfortable. One of the things that we said with our teaching staff early on is I really appreciated them stepping up and just kind of doing whatever was asked of them. We're all acknowledging that this is new. This isn't a normal time for the school system, so we want people to try things that are a little bit outside their comfort level. Put their best foot forward and really just make the best of these times. And at the end of this whole process, over the summer and fall, as things kind of calm down a little bit, we'll put some working groups together for the elementary, the middle, and the high school, and allow our teachers and administrators to really talk about what went really well during this time, what didn't. God forbid we have to do something like this again in the future. We want to know what our kind of best practices are, and we want to know how quickly we can actually get into some of this remote learning in the future, based on, again, what's been worked well and what we might have needed to tweak and alter a little bit along the way.
So I feel very bad for, the seniors, right? They want to have their prom, they want to have the graduation. What's happening with that?
I do. I mean, I feel awful for the seniors as well. I think any of our transitioning students, this is going to be a very difficult time. Obviously, our high school students who are going off to college or careers, this is difficult because they haven't had the normal end of the school year activities and senior week, and even spring sports at the high school was canceled. So there's no real closure for them, and I do feel very badly. The high school is going to be working on what we can do to support and to provide some of that closure for the students. I know the prom isn't realistic at this point. I think everyone, kind of has acknowledged that. We're still holding out some hope for a graduation ceremony for the students. We had originally booked the first Saturday in June as our graduation at the Songus Arena, and they have given us a backup date of the last Saturday in June. So we are going to wait and see if that might provide a little bit more certainty for us to be able to have a ceremony in person at the end of June. If it gets too much deeper into May and early June, and we don't know, we may have to move to a virtual or an online type format for the graduation. But we're going to work very closely with the senior class and the senior class advisors and staff at the high school to figure out exactly how we can properly honor those seniors before they graduate and they go on to, again, their college and careers. I think there's a couple of other groups that this is obviously going to be very difficult for, and again, transition-wise, we have students in our fourth grade at the elementary level who are moving up to middle school, and that's very nerve-wracking for students and parents as well, as the kids make that big adjustment. That's, for a lot of them, that's their first transition school-wise in their career. They have started basically at an elementary school in the district. They've been there for the last 5 years if they were there for kindergarten. And that's a big step. I think also our 8th grade is moving on to the high school for next year. We're not able to do a lot of those kind of move-up ceremonies. The high school does have a very good mentoring program for incoming freshmen, but we're not able to have a lot of that face-to-face contact with the students this spring. So we're going to have to really kind of load that up in the fall for the kids when they're coming back to school. But those transition year students, I feel particularly badly for. We also have a lot of retiring staff in the district, and I feel bad for the staff as well who may have worked 20 or 30 plus years in the district. And this, I don't think, was the way anyone planned to retire and kind of go out. So we want to also, at some point later on this spring or summer or fall, somehow honor those staff members who have worked so hard and so long in the schools, so that they can properly be recognized before they respectfully and rightfully retire. We want to make sure we're honoring that as well.
A difficult aspect of this is just living with the uncertainty. How do you plan ahead for next year when we don't know what's going to happen?
We haven't done a lot of planning for the fall yet because we're still all hands on deck dealing with the current situation in all of our current schooling. Right now, it's just the first week in May. We still have another good 7 or 8 weeks of schooling before we're done for the year. And our focus really is on the current school year. Statewide, there are some different working groups of superintendents and school administrators, and I believe teachers are even involved in some of the groups as well, talking about what reentry is going to look like in the fall. And I'm just, at this point, those groups are just getting assembled. I'm kind of monitoring from a distance to see exactly who our representatives from our area are going to be on those committees, so that as the school year starts to wind down, we can start to shift some of the focus towards reentry and getting buildings back open for the fall. But in all honesty, our focus really has been just on the day-to-day operations and the support of our current students and staff. And hopefully by the end of May, early June, we'll start transitioning to looking at the fall and what the reentry to the school year will look like.
Is there some kind of special support for kids who maybe are struggling with their online learning?
Yeah, I think the first line of defense for us is really the classroom teacher who they have the support from and the connection with already. We have asked our teachers when they're working with their individual students or classes, if they notice any kids are disengaged or having trouble really engaging in the different activities, to reach out to us. They work very closely with their school counselors in the schools. Our school counselors are still working and doing a great job. School psychologists are available to help. They're still reaching out and working with the students that they typically would on their course load during the regular school year. And then we do have several referral services that we can refer students to families with if they're having particular difficulty with any kind of like social, emotional, mental health type issues at this point. I think when it comes to support with classwork and classwork assignments, again, I think this is where we're hearing as educators that it's particularly challenging for our elementary parents. Many who are home and again have to help the students navigate the computer. They have to help with the setup and getting into Google Classroom and doing assignments and uploading assignments to the Google Classroom. That's a group we're hearing quite a bit that could use some help with. Our classroom teachers, again, are making kind of office hours available online to be able to assist. I know our paraprofessionals and support staff in the district are also reaching out to kids to help them when they can. So there is a very good support network here of adults who are really looking out for the best interests of the kids that they serve during the regular school day. It's just doing it in a little bit of a different way right now. And I think that's kind of become our new way of business for at least, again, the next couple of months as we wrap up the school year.
Is there anything that we didn't get to?
As we were making the shift to, obviously, one of our primary focus is academics and helping students, with the whole learning process. But I think as a district, we really did a great job of focusing on kind of the social, emotional health and wellness of our students and families. A lot of our students, I believe, 1 out of 5 students, about 20% of our kids actually participate in our free and reduced lunch program. So these are students that actually rely on us for, breakfast and lunch during the school day. And we knew that early on that they were going to need to continue that support or have it at least available to them if they needed it during this closure. We knew a lot of families might be struggling at this point if they had either a husband or a wife that lost employment due to layoffs in this particular time, that we wanted to support those families. So I'm very proud and happy that our food service department stepped up. And out of the high school, we've actually been offering and opening a community-wide feeding program. so that each afternoon, Monday through Friday at the high school, families, obviously our target population is our students in the school system, but we're not turning anyone away from the community that could need help. But families can come and actually pick up breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the high school. That has been operating since about week 2 of the closure. And again, I think it just speaks volumes to our food service workers who, are preparing the meals during the day, helping to serve them at night. We ended up partnering with Table of Plenty from Chelmsford, which is a group that does a lot of great support for families that need some nourishment. They're helping us with a kind of a food drive that we operate out of the Harrington Elementary School, where community members can drop off non-perishable food items on Wednesday of each week, and then we prepare boxes of food to go home to some of our struggling families on the weekends. So Friday, we drop off food boxes to their homes, and that'll help them Saturday and Sunday while our feeding program at the high school is closed for the weekends. So I think it's a lot of those actions that have been taken by our staff that, again, I'm very proud of, that really do get at the support that I think a lot of our students and families needed during this time. And that was a big part of our focus during the first couple of weeks of the closure.
And do you have a message for everybody as we all try to just persevere through these times?
Sure. I think, for my sake, I've actually started reaching out with a weekly newsletter, a weekly communication to families and staff, and just letting them know that none of us, know exactly what to be doing at this point in time, myself included. This is all brand new for all of us. We're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. We're going to feel overwhelmed from time to time, and that's okay. Know that you have a lot of staff and families in the community that'll support you. That if anyone needs any assistance or help during this time, whether it be, again, with food or with clothing or with academics, to speak up, to speak directly with their kind of classroom teacher who's their first point of contact, but that as a community we'll rally around them and get them the supports that they need. Again, take this for what it is, that this is unprecedented. This hasn't happened previously. Try things, again, that you haven't in the past when it comes to some of this online learning. Try to make the very best of it. And in the end, when all is said and done, I do believe we're going to be a stronger community for having gone through this as a community. And we'll then be able to step back and see, again, what really went well, what we should have done a little differently and when. And we'll make those modifications to our plans so that going forward in the future, if we had to ever embark on something like this again, we'll have a blueprint and a roadmap at that point to be able to do it better than this time around. But I'm just very thankful to obviously be in this community at this point. I think the community itself has been very responsive to any of our needs. Our staff and families have really stepped up big time, and I'm very proud and thankful of that.